Malik Andrews.
Hey, bud. I have two for you. First, just your initial reaction to Giannis's diagnosis.
Yeah, I think considering the range, for him and for his health, and pretty positive. And we'll just take it day by day and see how he's doing.
And then we understand that he's listed as doubtful for tomorrow. Doubtful isn't out. What's sort of the things that you guys are looking for in order to make that final decision one way or the other for Game 5?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's mostly probably we should have our medical director come and speak to you. You guys got the coach to talk to you. So, I think it's a lot of this is happening in real time, and I think it'd just be best to leave it at he's questionable, and Giannis is going to do everything he can to be available, and we're going to put his health and safety first, and together make good decisions.
We'll happily take the medical director, but thanks.
Yeah, I'm guessing he's running to the car and unavailable.
Eric Name.
Hey, bud. We've all seen some falls in our years in the league. That is one of the nastier ones I think I've seen. Just how relieved were you that ultimately you don't have like a torn ACL or, like a torn MCL or whatever it might be, like something torn in that knee when that fall was just kind of like so violent?
Yeah, I think that's why when you talk about the range of possibilities, I think where this has landed, has to be looked at as a positive. It's still a really difficult fall. A lot of what you just described, worried for both players, for Capella, and obviously Giannis both. So, it's I guess part of sport. It's part of the playoffs, and we'll manage it, and both from a Giannis perspective, from a team's perspective, and we just got to keep moving, get ready for Game 5.
You mentioned it last night. Giannis does not ever want to stay off the floor. He wants to play at all times. You guys went through this last year, obviously, and having him sit out of Game 5 against the Heat. But how do you try to, I guess in this way, you're going to have to protect him from himself in some ways, at least possibly going down this decision-making tree?
Yeah, I mean, I think the good thing for Giannis, he's such a smart guy. He's incredibly committed to his teammates, incredibly committed to being there, and wanting to play. But I think between he and the medical group, he and John Horst, he and myself, there's such a trust. There's a high level of trust, a high level of respect, and there's good, healthy conversations, and that's how you make good decisions. And we expect this to be the same. Not easy, but the same.
Right. For you guys, what is it that you focus on in a game without him? Like, say you don't have him tomorrow, he's doubtful, you don't have him. What are the kind of things that you circle and say, like, hey, this is what we have to do well if we're going to win without Giannis on the floor?
Yeah, hopefully there's a way that we play both with Giannis and without Giannis. We talk about ball movement and people movement and playing free and playing organically, and those things probably become even more important. And guys are, we got a lot of talent, and so I think just let the guys play, put them in a comfort level, put them in a comfortable spot, and let them go play basketball. Not overcomplicate it. We've played games without Giannis, without Chris, without Drew, without whoever it may be, and so you just hopefully you have a structure and a system. Where you can function at a high level on both ends of the court, no matter who's playing.
Chris's usage is pretty high, pretty much across the board, whether Giannis is in or out. But it feels like Drew is the one that sees that jump. Like when Giannis is out, that it's going to be some more of Drew with the ball in his hands. Just what do you want to see from him with that added responsibility?
Yeah, he's just got to make good decisions. Play good basketball. He may have to score, but I think when he penetrates and gets to the paint, good things happen for the team. Good things happen for him. He's and game one, I think he had 33 and, a bunch of assists, and he's very, very capable. So I think that's the thing that gives you a lot of confidence is, a lot of really good players, a lot of guys that, have confidence and a skill set, that can just be themselves.
Steve McGarkey.
I just first wanted to clarify. I think you had said he's questionable earlier in this conversation. The release says doubtful. He's doubtful for tomorrow's game. Is that correct? Or is there?
Definitely do not trust the coach. Whatever the release said is what it is. Doubtful.
And also just the last two games, y'all have kind of gotten off to a slow start. Have had to come back. Game three, you were able to. Game four, not so much. Just how important, what do you think's kind of caused those slow starts, and just how much more critical is it going to be going game five, not to dig yourself into that deep a hole when there's a likelihood that you won't have Giannis with you?
Yeah, no, I mean, but it's interesting because you see games go every direction. You start poorly and you win. You start well and you give up a big lead. So many different things can happen. So unequivocally, we'd like to start well. We'd like to play well out of the gate. You really need to play well for 48 minutes in a playoff game, but I don't think you can overreact to either. I think the crowd being at home and having the energy and the excitement and, the way our crowd gets into it, the way they support us, I think the way they're going to be behind us, is going to be helpful. We're excited to be coming home for a game five and getting the crowd into it, getting the crowd rocking, and go play, have some fun, play some basketball.
Jim Ozarski.
You mentioned you've played games without Giannis. I think at the time, depending on the matchup, it was Bobby or Pat kind of. But in the playoffs, your bench obviously is much shorter. At that time, you also had Dante. Have you decided, I guess, on that? Is it still really just the moment of, because your opponent's not going to change like it was in the regular season? Like, or will it go up to game time, or do you kind of have an idea that it might just be Bobby because he's a big and Giannis has been a big, that type of thing?
Yeah, no, I mean, we're beating it up, talking about it as a coaching staff and there's different directions you can go and then how it impacts you throughout, managing the 48 minutes. So, at some point you got to pull the trigger and make a decision and, we'll probably do that. And then we'll probably tell you, we don't know who we're playing and starting and all that. And then, a tip off or whenever you guys will get it. And it's kind of the normal routine.
Right. Is there some, we asked kind of the players about this. Is there some benefit to have gone through 9 games without him earlier? That I know PJ's, I guess, the new person. So for Pat and Bobby and Bryn, they've sort of lived this to a degree. I don't know. Can you draw on that at all? Or is it just completely different because it's the stage and the rotations have changed?
No, I think you can draw on it. Definitely. I actually haven't, looked specifically, to see, how many games it was this year. And I think during the course of, the last 3 years, it's the normal, kind of the NBA, you play games without certain players. And I think those are important games and it's important to learn and draw on them. And, yeah, certainly I think tomorrow, subconsciously or consciously, I think all of us will know we've played without Giannis. And even I think there's been good stretches when Giannis is, not on the court, he's actually playing a game, but, we can maintain and sustain or build leads and things like that. So, all that I think you draw on.
Zora Stevenson.
Hey, Coach, previously, whether it's Giannis or another person is out, you talk about like not overcompensating and people just playing their games, not trying to make up for whoever is out. How do you communicate that in this situation, or is there just a general understanding of these are our principles?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think, I think probably, just rely on our habits, rely on kind of the way we've played and just, not be, hopefully overcomplicated and put people in a position to play and be themselves and put a lot of confidence and belief in them. And, so you do that during the regular season, you do it today or tomorrow. And, It's something that I think gives the players their best chance to play well, and that's what we need to do.
I know you don't like to speak for other people or speak for the players or anything like that, but what's your general consensus of the rest of the team right now, and how they're doing? And, there's two things, like you're worried about your teammate, but you also have to worry about the game. Where's everybody with that?
Yeah, I think there's a level of understanding of that, and of preparation, the mental preparation, emotional and things like that. And so, it's a veteran group. It's really a very highly intelligent group, and a competitive group that I think embraces every opportunity they get, and all those things will serve them well.
Stephen Watson.
Hey, Coach. Building off of that, I know that you probably can't speak for Giannis and kind of the emotions that he's felt over the last 24 hours, but what have you observed about maybe how he was feeling last night to receiving the news today? And have you had an opportunity to speak with him? Is he relieved to know that he might have an opportunity to play in the postseason again?
Yeah, he and I have not spoken, in the last, probably hour or two. So, but just, his maturity, always has impresses me, his understanding, his desire to play, his desire to kind of fight through and be there for his teammates. It's been the same, including last night in the locker room, on the plane. He's a pretty incredible competitor and teammate, and he's been very much like that. And his spirits, I think it affects the group. He's a guy that lifts people up, and I think including during these, it's hard, the fall, the injury, the missing the second half, but amazingly Giannis finds a way to lift people up, and that's one of his special skills, one of his special qualities.
And also, just for you, I mean, what have the emotions been like for you in the last 12 plus hours, fearing that you may have lost your 2-time MVP and then learning that you might have it back in the series or the.
Yeah, no, I mean, you go through a lot. It's the playoffs. You lose a game, you win a game. So many things happen throughout the course of a 7-game series, round to round, all those things. And, it's, I don't want to say it's the norm, but the ride is part of what makes it sweet. So, you get excited about figuring out how to help your group and just put them in a good spot and go out and play and compete.
All right, time for one more to Steve Ashburner.
Hi, Mike. I know what you were saying about guys sticking to their habits and knowing their roles, but in circumstances like this, how helpful to the cause and maybe how helpful to teammates would it be for someone to say, hey, I got this, and step up in a way maybe that we wouldn't expect? Not that you would ever like tap someone on the head and say, you got to do it, but would you expect that someone would try to do that and it might not be a bad thing in this circumstance?
I respect the question, understand the question, and sometimes I would just put this in the context of leadership. There's so many different ways to lead, and I think there's a perception that you do it this one way, and in this case, for somebody to step up and say, I got this, and do it, it may sound good and it may happen, but I think your actions are most important. How you handle yourself, tomorrow morning, and preparing and getting ready for the game. And we just need our guys to prepare, get ready to play, and go play. If somebody feels the need to lead and to speak, they will. But there's lots of different ways guys can step up and be prepared and be ready, and fully expect all of them will.
Do you have a sense that your players particularly look to you and your coaches in this sort of situation to, hey, give us some things we can hang our hats on?
Yeah, I mean, they're always, I think, looking just for some guidance, looking for, just opportunities to put them in their best positions and confidence and things like that. So, certainly the staff, myself, got to do those things, give them a little bit, to hang their hats on, to give them a plan, and then, kind of keep them free and let them play.
All right, thanks, bud.
Thanks, guys.